I want you to understand little things matter. And until you understand that little things matter, you will never be able to fulfill your destiny.
You got to take care of the small disciplines before life will give you a chance to handle the more complicated disciplines. You start first with the smallest of disciplines, and do not neglect them and do not disregard them as being trifling. Everything matters. Everything's important.
Great people do little things with excellence. In fact, it is a sure sign that you're going to end up in a great place when you give great detail to little things. When something little goes wrong and it bothers you. When you want to make sure that everything is right, even though you don't have a title and you don't have a position and you don't have recognition, but you have a standard to which you hold yourself to. Excellence doesn't start when the lights come on. Excellence doesn't start when the crowd gathers. Excellence is nurtured in mediocrity.
Don't let neglect destroy your days, destroy your life, and destroy your future. Do what you can. And if you'll do what you can, then life will give you some extraordinary things to do.
I don't know who I'm talking to out there, but God is grooming you for greatness. If you cannot manage the little things, you'll never be able to manage the big things. If the little things overwhelm you, if you complain and collapse about little things, you'll never be ready for the greater things that God is about to do in your life.
In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. If you hadn't thought of it before, here it is. Everything affects everything else. It's so easy to be casual and say, well, this doesn't matter. I'm telling you, everything matters.
Because whenever God's getting ready to do great things in your life, he tests you on small things.
Go for the disciplines, the smallest of disciplines. Like keeping your accounts in order. Did you ever hear this expression? I don't know where it all goes. Did you ever hear that? But here's the key. If you'll be disciplined when the amounts are small, we'll make you a ruler, give you a position of authority when the amounts are many.
Until you are faithful over a few, you can't be faithful over many.
Take care of your disciplines when the amounts are small. And then life will see to it that you get some extraordinary numbers to work with. Let us not neglect. Do not neglect the smallest of disciplines. And build on that foundation, and you can have everything you could possibly want.
And when the big thing comes, you're going to be amazing. Until then, you're just lazy and slowful and laid back and taking it easy. And you don't understand it is how you handle the little things that determines what's coming next in your life. In spite of how small it looks right now, it's bigger than you think. In spite of how small you look right now, it's bigger than you think. That's why you got to rejoice when you've been afflicted. Rejoice when you've been up under attack. Because God's got you in training camp. Oh, you're in the boot camp of greatness. Because you're bigger than you think and you don't even know it. Shatter your perspectives and your attitude. Shatter how you define greatness. Shatter how you define responsibility. I'm exposing you to pressure because I'm building up your tolerance. Because where I'm getting ready to take you, what was precious is going to become your normal. And I got to recalibrate you and train the way you think. Today is an opportunity for you to get your head right. Today, people ignore the performance of little things, waiting on the next big thing. But the next big thing is a little thing. That's why you're not ready to be great until you think everything is important, until everything matters to you. Just showing up for the battle is half the battle. Just showing up, just being in your place, just being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there is half the battle. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have all the solutions. You don't have to have the favor of the army. Just show up. And just because it starts out small does not mean that it ends up small.
Everything that's happening to you is God is processing you. Every difficult moment you're having, He's just processing you. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough, when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you. He gonna let you have some trials come your way that's gonna have to produce that in you. To really understand the value of money, I had none. To just appreciate simple things, what I'm gonna eat today, where I'm gonna wash up at, where I'm gonna bathe. He sent me through a trial of being homeless for 3 years. I lived in a car for 3 years. All of that I did not appreciate or understand, I understand it now. It was the route I had to go on. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when He gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way. And you're going to be okay with it. But quit tripping during the process. See, the route you on right now is the route you got to take. This thing you going through, you just got to understand you ain't the only one. Oh, Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh, Lord, why me? You ain't the only one. Oh, Lord, why I lose my job? You ain't the only one unemployed. Oh, Lord, why He leave me? You ain't the first chick got left. This might not even be your last time getting left. Pull yourself together and quit tripping, because you in the process. God is processing you. He ain't through with you. If He was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning. He gonna fix it. I look back on my life at all that I've been through. So the stuff I'm currently going through, I have built up enough reservoir that living in the car taught me that this ain't it. So the things I'm going through now, I know this ain't it. That He gonna come get me in a minute. So all I gotta do is sit tight. I ain't in a bad place. Now I ain't where I wanna be, but the spot I'm in is better than where I was. I ain't homeless. People think when you get famous or rich that your problems is over. They got a whole new set of them for you. They got some stuff you ain't seen. But I'll tell you the truth right now. The problems I got right now, I take them. Because the problems I had when I was homeless, I don't want them no more. See, money gonna change your life a little bit, folks. But you gotta ask for it. You have not because you ask not. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. It didn't say you have not because you don't make enough. It simply say you have not because you ask not. But you don't ask because you ain't got that together. When you ask God for something, quit tripping. Well, Lord, if I could just stay with Him a little bit longer. Maybe you don't need Him. Well, I don't want to leave Him because I've been with Him 8 years. Well, hold up. Whoa. You want 8 more years of this? God can't give you what you want because you want to hold on to what you got. You all in the way. Now you telling Him how to bless you. You can't tell God how to bless you. All of you have extraordinary capabilities. All of you. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. It ain't but 24 hours in a day. You cannot be sleep 8 hours a day. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
What you should do if you want to start waking up early is start waking up early. You figure out what that time is for you, and then you start waking up at that time. Now, if you wake up and it's earlier than you normally wake up, by the end of the day, guess what? You'll be a little bit more tired. And then you can go to bed a little bit earlier. Impose discipline on your life. That's the way it works. Get out of bed, go get some. You got 24 hours in a day. The earlier you get up, the more you can take advantage of those hours. The reason I wake up at 4:30 in the morning is no one else is awake yet. So that gives me the opportunity to do things that I need to get done kind of selfishly for myself. And the big one in that category is working out. And it doesn't feel good at 4:30 when you get up, but by the time 7 o'clock rolls around and you've already worked out and you've already got some work done and you've got some time to say goodbye to your kids before they go to school, it's infinitely better than sleeping in until 6:45 and you get out of bed and now you missed your kids going to school or whatever. You're not prepared for the day. It's awful.
Whatever amount of sleep you need, you know how much you need. So you go to bed early enough so that you come awake naturally.
Wake up at the same time every day. And if you pick that time and you start waking up at the same time every day, that's very good for you. It doesn't have to be 4:30, it could be 6:30, it could be 7. I don't know what your personal schedule is, but find out a time, pick it, set it, stick to it, and maintain that schedule, and that's going to end up better for you. I recommend it's earlier. I recommend that you go to bed earlier. Because what are you doing at night most of the time? Most of the time at night, you're not working on anything super productive. You're just winding down and watching stupid YouTube videos or surfing the internet, reading clickbait stories, right? Don't do that. Instead, go to sleep and then wake up early.
No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. The bottom line is, no one's coming. When you become 18, when you move out of the house, when you're an adult, you have to parent yourself. Unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you've got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true.
Take yourself out your comfort zone. Do not live in your bubble. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
If you don't have any discipline, you'll end up with absolutely no freedom. You'll end up being a slave to other people that boss you around. There's all kinds of problems that can occur if you don't have discipline in your life. And the more discipline you have, the more freedom you're going to have.
The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. He who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night.
Make a plan. Look at what you're interested in. Get disciplined about something. Allow for the possibility that you have something important to contribute to the world, and that the world would be a lesser place without that contribution. Don't be afraid of taking on responsibility. It's where you find what sustains you in your life. You can take on too much responsibility. You have to be cautious in that regard, but that's a less common problem than not taking on enough.
Now, when it does come to planning, I think the most important part of a plan, the thing that makes a plan the most effective, is its flexibility. When you do the actual operation and you come up against unexpected things, which are absolutely going to happen, you have the flexibility, you have options, you have contingency plans to deal with.
You got to have a plan. Everybody's got a dream. Everybody's got a goal. What's the plan? And your plan has got to have something I call the C5 complex. Your plan has got to be clear, concise, compelling, consistent, and committed. You've got to have a plan. And when you're trying to do something that you're truly passionate about, there is no plan B.
A lot of the things that people regard as traps are actually the means to their life. You know, often young people are afraid of commitment, for example, in the context of a romantic relationship. And because they feel that that's going to interfere with their pursuit of something more valuable. But that's just not the case. You're not going to find something more valuable in your life than a committed relationship with someone that you love, that sustains itself across time, and that in all likelihood produces children. That's life. So don't be afraid of that, or be afraid of it, but don't let that stop you from pursuing it.
When you see transition really start to happen, when you really want to transition to something, master it. There's no limits. You know, don't let the world ever put limits on you. You can do anything you want to do, but make sure if you have a vision, make sure the vision is written. You know, make sure you have something to actually chase and not just hoping and wishing and all these different things. So put your plan together and then work the plan. Don't work somebody else's plan, right? That's one thing about the league. I love the league, but the league is somebody else's brand, right? You have to create your own brand yourself.
Come up with a good plan. Don't come up with a perfect plan that takes you 2 weeks to come up with. That's not going to help. Pat said a good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Pay attention. Watch how it's unfolding. Don't put the blinders on, and you've got your plan. Now we're going to go, and we're not going to look around anymore. We're just going to follow the plan. No. You have to be observant. You have to observe when you decide to act the whole time. You can't just come up with a plan and stay on that track, because when you come up with a fast plan, you're not going to have thought about every single detail.
Your future is in your hands. You know what that means? You got to work on your mind. Fortify yourself. You know what that means? You got to upgrade, level up your skill set. You know what that means? That means you want to be in a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supported relationships that's going in your direction. You're supposed to evolve, not be the same way. We've been trained to be who we were not to be. And as a result, most of us are living a misplaced life. A lot of people have made the decision to give up. A lot of people have made the decision to wait for a stimulus check. They don't require much stipulation. A lot of people have made the decision that I can't make it. A lot of people have made the decision that this is too painful, this is too much. No. A lot of people have thrown in the towel. It's a new day. And it's a new day, it's got to be a new you. You got to be willing to transform yourself.
So, be flexible, but stick to the plan. But be ready to adjust, but stick to the plan. And that's totally contradictory, and I know that, and I apologize, but that is what leadership is. Leadership is balancing those dichotomies.
I've told people to learn to use a schedule. And people often hate schedules because they act as their own tyrants, right? They say, well, you have to do this unpleasant thing, and then here's another unpleasant thing you have to do. And you do that for about 3 days, and you think, to hell with this, I'm not doing that, and you fall off the wagon. That isn't what you're supposed to do with a schedule. You're supposed to use it to design the days that you would like to have if you were taking care of yourself. And so you got to treat yourself like a good boss would treat a valued employee, and not like a tyrant would treat a slave, because the slave will rebel. And people say, well, I don't follow through on my plans. It's like, well, they're probably not very well formulated, and maybe you're doing them because of an external moral obligation, something not really your plans, right? And B, you're acting like a tyrant and a slave, and that's a bad relationship to have with yourself.
You've accepted that where you are is where you're going to be. You've already lost. And there's no power in that. There's no power in it. That's like staying right here. You're not popping the clutch. You're not going forward. You made a choice to just stay here. And that's your responsibility. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying there are challenges, problems, obstacles, issues, fears. But when you quit right here, you're right. This is where you're going to be.
Growth is not an automatic process. If you're going to grow, you're going to have to do so intentionally. And highly successful people
They continually have a thirst for knowledge. They continually ask questions. The secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. The secret of my success is determined by what I do today. I believe that so much that a few years ago I wrote a book called Today Matters. Basically, in that book, I talk about the fact that we over-exaggerate yesterday, we overestimate tomorrow, and we underestimate today.
If you do not have it written down, your chances of it happening is reduced drastically because it's a principle of success. Write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. See, my first vision board I wrote when I was 10. I didn't know it was a vision board. The lady asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. I wrote I want to be on TV. I wrote it at 10. I kept that paper till I was 27. I read it. I flunked out of school. I'm on my third marriage. I lost everything twice. I've been living in a car for 3 years. But I kept reading my paper. Guess what? I'm TV star. I'm on TV. This is how this works. Now, I wrote it at 10, but surely it will come at an appointed time. I did not get on TV till I was 38.
We got to be more determined and stronger and be willing to do whatever it takes to live our dreams and create a future for our children. You got to be stronger than the forces working against you. Can't take any breaks. No, absolutely not. This is a new way of being. This is different. And the secret is to maintain commitment through all the frustrations, through all the disappointments, through all the setbacks that we will experience, and working to bring about change. That's how change comes about. People, you're not a witness. You're a participant. You want to be actively engaged in life. Harv's man was right. We should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind with our voice, with our story, with our energy, with our efforts, with our intelligence, with our abilities, with our dreams.
Write everything you want on a piece of paper. Everything. I don't care. Use your wildest imagination. If you can think it, you can achieve it. Write it on a piece of paper. Read it every morning and every night. Come back here 1 year from today and see how much of that stuff then came true. That's all successful people have. If it's not written, you reduce your chances greatly of it ever occurring.
I love you. I repeat, I love you. If no one has ever told you this, if no one told you this today, this week, this month, this year, or this very second, I want you to know I love you. And I also want you to know that the fact that you're still alive and still on this earth, even though it's been challenging and rough, and sometimes you get discouraged and uninspired to keep going, God has a plan. You will grow through what you go through. Everything that you're going through, at some point, it makes no sense to you right now. But at some point, God is going to reveal to you why all of these issues, challenges, and problems continue to show up and what you were supposed to learn from it.
What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you miss your season and you miss your window of opportunity? What do you do when you know that you've got the desire to do it, you've got the passion to do it, but you look in the mirror and the wrinkles in your face and the sagging of your body indicates you don't have time to do this all over again. She says, I don't have time to get pregnant again. I don't have a second chance at life. My life is over. Go away. Don't hang around me. I have nothing left to give. There are people that when you start running out of time, you get bitter, you get desperate, you start pushing people away from you because they're asking something of you that you don't think you can give anymore. And you find yourself in a place of depletion and it feels like God has forgotten you. But I remind you, nothing just happens. At this age, at this stage, there's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control and he knows where you are and he knows how old you are and he knows how much time you spent and he knows what happened to you and he knows who walked out and left you and he knows who betrayed you and he knows who molested you and he knows who raped you and he knows who rejected you and he knows where you are in life and he knows about your bills and he knows about your degree and he knows you dropped out of school and he knows about what you didn't get and he knows about the health of your child and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. If they walked away, it's no accident. If they left you, it's no accident. If you tried to make it work and it wouldn't work, it's no accident. Accept it as the will of God. Clap your hands, wash your face, do your dance, and keep going.
God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Hear me well on this day. When you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, further education, you would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you.
I wonder if you're upset about something now that later on you're going to realize it had to happen to get you to your destiny. It wasn't fair, but God used it to connect the dots. You can't see what God is up to, but later on you're going to understand. A disappointment today, a betrayal, you may not see how that works out for your good until years down the road. What's interesting is every time we got close to the end, all of a sudden that piece that I was so sure was a mistake would fit perfectly into place. You may have some pieces in your life that don't make sense. Why did that person walk out of a relationship? By itself, that piece doesn't fit. You have to wait for the other pieces to come together. God is in the process of connecting the dots in your life. Trust Him when the piece doesn't make sense. When God designed the plan for your life, He didn't accidentally put in a wrong piece. He didn't leave something out. You have been fearfully and wonderfully made. Everything is serving His plan. He never said, you're going to understand everything. It's all going to make sense. He said, my ways are not your ways. You have to trust Him when you don't understand. God is working behind the scenes in your life right now. Just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean God is not working. It's just a matter of time before your appointing shows up. Too often we have the anointing, but we get discouraged by the process. We don't like when we're not making progress, not being treated right. When you're tempted to give up, you have to remind yourself it's all a part of the process. Don't run away from the process. The process is not working against you, it's working for you. It's getting you prepared. Don't let disappointments talk you out of it. Don't let delays convince you it's not going to happen. You've come too far to stop now. Keep your joy in tough times. When life throws you a curve, it's taken longer than you thought, remind yourself it's only temporary. Don't fall into self-pity. Keep looking forward. The joy is coming. The dream is coming. The breakthrough is on the way. Don't get discouraged thinking that you're falling behind. I should be much further ahead. My friends, my colleagues, they've all passed me up. Don't worry, your time is coming. God knows how to make up for lost time.
Everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, He just processing you. That's all He's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you. If you gotta be more caring along the way, He gonna let you have some trials come your way that's gonna have to produce that in you. What happened in my life was getting where I've gotten to today and where I'm even headed to, I had to be tough. So He toughened me along the way. I had to learn how to appreciate a lot, so He took everything. To really understand the value of money, I had none. To just appreciate simple things, what I'm gonna eat today, where I'm gonna wash up at, where I'm gonna bathe. He sent me through a trial of being homeless for 3 years. I lived in a car for 3 years. All of that I was going through, that I was tripping with, that I did not appreciate or understand, I understand it now, because I'm on the other side of them troubles. And I understand what all them troubles was for. And even though I did not understand or appreciate the route He took me on, it was the route I had to go on. See, the route you on right now is the route you got to take. And it's very uniquely yours. This thing you going through, this just uniquely yours. You just got to understand you ain't the only one. You ain't the only one going through it. Now, in the order that it's going to happen, it's just yours. I just listen to God a lot, tell you the truth. God, I have a dream, and God will tell me something. I wake up and go do it. When you have an idea, when something comes into your imagination, God places everything He has for you in your imagination. So when you have something in your imagination, it's actually a preview of a coming attraction that God has for you. So if you've been dreaming of your own business, it's because that's what He got for you. If you've been dreaming of a summer home, it's because that's what He got for you. He places everything He has for you in your imagination. You just can't tell it to everybody. You know why you can't tell it to everybody? Because if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. Your imagination is real, man. So when I imagine stuff, I act on it. And then to quit worrying about how to get it done. The how-to is none of your business. God in the blessing business, man. The Bible say, ask, believe, receive. Now you got to be willing to work, but He don't require you to figure it out. The how-to is none of your business.
If you do what you can, the Lord will make a way somehow. People say, how did you get here? I did what I could and God did what I couldn't. Do the best that you can with what you have, and God will do the rest.
We all have things that come against us. It's easy to live uptight, wondering how it's going to work out. We tried to figure it out, but we don't see anything changing. But there's a simple phrase you have to keep down in your spirit. God's got this. He already has the solution. You don't have to figure it out. In the natural, you don't see a way. That's okay. He has ways to do it we've never thought of. And instead of trying to force it to happen, you have to let go and let God. Not only will you feel the heaviness, the weight lift off of you, but God will make things happen that you couldn't make happen. Sometimes we're trying to play God. We're trying to make our boss promote us, make the contract go through. But as long as we're trying to force it, then God steps back. But when you take your hands off and say, God, I'm not going to worry about my finances. I'm not going to be frustrated because I haven't met the right person. God, I trust your timing and I trust your ways. My life is in your hands. You may have a good reason to worry about something. You've done everything you can. Doesn't look like it's going to work out. Stay in faith. God is saying, I'm in the process of turning it around. It's just a matter of time before you see things change in your favor.
You should be tried, but you're going to survive. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Everything is on schedule. Don't worry about your purpose. Worry about your season. Because when you get in your season, your purpose will be clear. God knows how. God knows what. God knows when. There are times you go through a season of mourning, a season of struggle. God has a time already set aside. Did you not hear that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning? Do you not know that God has a wind?
It may not happen the way you thought, but God's ways are better than our ways. In the scripture, a young man named Daniel worked for King Darius. Daniel was so good at what he did, the king was going to put Daniel in charge of his whole empire. But when the other leaders heard this, they came up with a plan to get rid of Daniel. When your gifts come out in great ways, don't be surprised if people get jealous. Some people will try to find fault, hold you back. The good news is people don't determine your destiny, God does. Don't get distracted trying to prove to them who you are. God will take care of your enemies. They said, King, you're so great. We've written a decree. No one can pray to anyone except you. They did this because they knew Daniel prayed to Jehovah. But that didn't change Daniel. Just like normal, he knelt down on his knees and prayed to the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob. They ran back and told the king. The king was upset with himself, but he couldn't go back on his word. So he had Daniel sent to the lion's den. When they arrested Daniel, he wasn't afraid, worried, panicked. Daniel's attitude was, God's got this. If it's not my time to go, I'm not going to go. He stayed in peace. What you're facing may be bigger, more powerful, but when you refuse to worry, instead you stay in peace, thanking God that He's fighting your battles, you are showing God by your actions that you're trusting Him. One evening, the authorities threw Daniel into the lion's den. These were hungry lions. God made Daniel unappetizing to those lions. God knows how to make you unappetizing to the enemy. What should normally defeat you, for some reason, it can't harm you. It can't take your health. God controls the universe. He controls the enemies. You're not at the mercy of random events, bad breaks. Nothing can happen without His permission. In life and in death, we have to know God's got this.
You don't know what God's gonna fight with, but I declare God's gonna get you out of this. You don't know who God's gonna use, but God's gonna get you out of this. In one moment, the weeping turned to laughter. That even the unbelievers are going to say the Lord have done great things for them.
We go hiking in the mountains sometime. They tell you, if you see a bear, don't take off running. Be calm. Carry yourself with a quiet confidence. In the same way, when you face enemies in life, those enemies can sense when you're afraid of them. They'll take more ground. But when they see you standing strong, thanking God when you could be complaining, at peace when you could be panicked, you are sending a message to those enemies: you have no power over me. My God is in control, and if He be for me, who dare be against me? God doesn't deliver us from every difficulty. Most of the time, He takes us through the difficulty. I'm asking you to quit worrying about what you're facing. Quit being upset because somebody did you wrong. Can I tell you, God's got this. God is not just with you on the mountaintops. He's with you in the valleys when you're going through things. The scripture says God is concerned about what concerns you. He's concerned about me. He's bigger than my enemies. He's arranging things in my favor. That attitude of faith is what allows God to do amazing things.